Little turn there by Wolves. Sudan trying to go back with them. McCann coming up. Van Bronckhorst. There's a little ball across. There's Wallace with a chance. And he couldn't get hold of it. Wallace, can he pick it up? Sudan is there, but he gets there. The free kick, Wallace. Went right into the line.
To ask Sean or Tim what they think about the game, because we've so much to look back on. Right, sleepy start from Manchester City, but then they clicked into gear to 1-0, Sean.
Yeah, I think leading up to this goal, it was a great time for them to actually turn it on, because before that Southampton had them pegged back and they were setting traps, but obviously City have woke up, started switching the ball wider and having a good control and possession of the game, and that's when Diaz plays that superb ball onto a great Zinchenko run, and then the rest is pretty much get your head up and put the ball in the box with good quality.
So City in front, in control, then this happened. Are you happy this is a penalty, Tim?
No, I think if you're going to give penalties for this, Steve, then you're going to give penalties probably 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 a week, every week. It's ridiculous. I mean, Vestergaard, if he was defending in his own box and someone took to the ground like that, but unfortunately, if you go to ground, you make the referee make a decision, and we're going to see that again a little bit later on.
What about VAR for you? Is that a clear and obvious error to overturn?
Yeah, I don't think there's enough to it, but I will. Richard, we're trying to encourage players to stay on their feet for the integrity of the game. Now, you telling me that Vestergaard has to go down because he's got a hand on his shoulder, it's a poor decision. OK, let's speak to the former Premier League referee, Chris Foy. This isn't the first thing we're going to speak to you about either, Chris. Good to see you. What do you make of what Tim's saying there? Is that a clear penalty for you?
I think it's very difficult that when the referee gives a penalty for an offence like that, which is pulling, it's difficult for the VAR to overturn it, because what he's actually saying is, has the referee made that clear and obvious error? And it's not a clear and obvious error. Some people will say he went down very easily, but once the referee's blown the whistle, as I said, it's very difficult for the VAR to get involved.
Sean?
Chris, but don't you think if you go back to like majority of the corners in the Premier League going on this season, you would basically be given a penalty for every corner that's taken, if that's the case, because there's always a lot of arms holding to a tee, blocking as well?
I think it's a recurring theme, Sean. I think, holding and blocking, we talk about it a lot, and contact is a normal part of the game, and I think, we've got to accept that. I think in this situation, when you see the referee where he is give that decision, he sees it clearly, and as I said, with the VAR, he can't really overturn that, he can't overrule the referee, but we're always going to get holding. It will always cause debate and discussion.
Stay there, Chris. We've more discussion to come. James Ward-Prowse's best ever goal scoring season, never in doubt.
Never in doubt. It's never in doubt when he's got a free kick at goal from 20 yards, let alone a penalty spot. Penalty, nailed on, stay down, and you get a penalty. Try and stand up, try and be honest, you will get nothing. Go down, hit the floor. And I'm not saying he's dishonest by hitting the floor. There's contact there. There's no contact on the ball. There's clear contact. Go down and stay down, Phil. But I was hoping that this is the chance. There was a big chance for VAR to say, do you know what? We're still going to look at this and we're going to see that is a clear penalty. You can see his right foot onto Phil Foden's left foot. There's a great opportunity to say, you tried to play on, you tried to put the ball in the net, but we're still going to go back and look at it, and that is a clear and obvious error. There's a foul there, but we didn't.
Chris, Andy Madley had a look at it, didn't think it was clear and obvious.
I think it's a penalty. I've looked at it. I think there's an angle that it looks actually as though he has got a little touch on the ball. I think what happens here is, because the ball squirts out to the left, the referee feels as though he's got a touch on the ball.
Yeah, I understand that. But if you were in Andy Madley's position looking at those replays, Chris, you would have given a penalty.
I think it's a penalty on field, to be honest with you, Steve. I think because the VAR's looked at it and looked at another angle, and you're slowing it down, because they're slowing it down and looking at it step by step by step, they don't feel as though it's clear and obvious. But let's be brutally honest with that. I think if the referee gives a penalty on field, we wouldn't be talking about it.
Chris, can I ask why he didn't go and have a look at the monitor?
He didn't go and look at the monitor because the VAR didn't think he'd made an error. It's as simple as that, Sean.
So what was VAR looking at then?
Well, when you're looking at stuff and you break it down, there is an angle where it actually looks like he has got a touch on the ball. He hasn't. But when you're looking at stuff 3, 4, 5 times and it's taking you longer than normal, and it's not a standout incident, that's when you're not going to turn it over.
OK, Chris, thank you very much indeed. Then, Sean, City got back in front, quick fire.
Yeah, well, before that, Mahrez had been pretty quiet, but with somebody with his talent, especially if you let him inside on his left foot, as Southampton did, these are the sort of things he can do, and his link-up play has been great since then onwards, basically. And that's a great move he did there with De Bruyne, where De Bruyne rolled it back, and Tim said before, left, he went right, and the goal comes from it.
And now they are in total charge. The Premier League leaders halfway to...
Jurgen Klopp has vowed to get Liverpool out of their slump and turn them back into title contenders after a difficult period in the Premier League. The champions have dramatically dropped out of the title race since the turn of the year, with 6 straight defeats at Anfield, the latest of which came against Fulham on Sunday, leaving them facing a battle to even finish in the top 4. But ahead of tonight's Champions League last 16-second leg against RB Leipzig, Klopp has insisted he will get the club back on track sooner rather than later. Extreme in terms of winning a lot, extreme in terms of waiting so long for the Premier League title, these kinds of things. But now we have to go through a difficult time again. Nobody should really be surprised that it can happen to Liverpool. But there will be a way out as well, and we will find it, no doubt about that. Klopp also insisted that he and his players could end up benefiting from their troubles in the Premier League, despite the disappointment of failing to retain the title they won in such convincing fashion last season. It's a tough one, but personally I think you can kind of compare it with friendships, he continued. When you have a really good friend, and if he's only there when you have a party, then you know okay, it's good. But if in the moment when you have problems, when you suffer a little bit, this friend is there as well, he finds exactly the right words, then this is a proper friendship. And that is how I describe our situation. If you can go through this together, you can gain so much from it. I don't want it, nobody wants it, but it can happen, and we're an example for everybody out there that something like this can happen if you have a few unlucky things happening and of course a few mistakes on top of that. We as a club, as a unit, can really learn from it if we go through it together. It will make us stronger, no doubt about it at all. And that's exactly what I can't wait for, to experience and to show it. While Liverpool have struggled domestically, they stand just 90 minutes away from the Champions League quarter-finals after beating Leipzig 2-0 in the first leg of their last 16 clash. Klopp and his players returned to the Puskas Arena for the second time due to COVID quarantine rules, and he admits that European competition has given his players a chance to forget their troubles at home and reset. It's clear that today we're training, analyzing and meeting with Leipzig in mind, the former Borussia Dortmund boss said. At the moment it's easy to focus on the next game rather than thinking about the last one. Now we're 2 days on from the Fulham defeat, and it wasn't a day you want to remember really. But since then we are completely in a preparing mood for this game. In the Premier League we've never really had the momentum this year, but in the Champions League we have, so that's good, and that's what we have to try to keep going. We know it's a very difficult one. It's really special going twice to Budapest to play there. Leipzig are a team who are really flying in the Bundesliga, doing really well. So we have to deliver a proper fight, how we did it last time. It was a really good game from us, we won it, and we have to do it again. Despite taking a 2-0 lead into tonight's second leg, Klopp insists the tie is far from over, and that his side will need to be at their best to get past the Bundesliga highflyers. We don't compare this to the Premier League, Klopp added. It's a different competition, a different opponent, a different challenge. They play different. It's all different. So you don't have to think too much, but it makes it easier that it's a different competition. It's not like all the results we've had recently count for this game, they don't. So far we did a lot of good stuff in the Champions League. That's why we are in the position we are. It's halftime in the tie and we're 2-0 up. We know that it's not even close to being decided, but it's no problem. We are really looking forward to the game, honestly. It was all about the positive mood in training today. Everybody's ready to go.